Testing one, two, three. Welcome to Moodlight. So, guys, guys, I'm back in Kenya, and I got back here on the 13th of March. So we're still in March, right? We're not yet in April. So I got back on the 13th of March. My phone looks funny. Everything feels different and strange, maybe, but it's not a bad strange. It's a good strange. That's just me tossing my glasses down because it feels so good to be home, and it feels when I got on the plane. Let's backtrack a little. So I've had to be very quiet about my coming back to Kenya for various reasons. I'll get into those reasons soon, but that can't be tonight. Maybe it won't be tonight. We don't know. With ADHD brain, let's see. We might get to the bottom of this. It's only 1 minute in, and I'm not sleepy. I've been sleeping really well, really deeply when I finally sleep. Um, but insomnia is still kicking my butt from time to time. Why? Because I'm home and I've taken a week to just rest. And I literally got this advice from a new client I started working with today. Unofficially, we've been at this for a while. And I like to call that value addition. Sometimes when you offer people your services, because you see them as human beings who need help when they need the help or they need, and at a time when it is urgent and they need it, then a switch goes off in their head where they're like, I'd like to keep this person around. So there's that. It literally takes me back to that class where I scored a 3.7, which a 5 is a fail. After 3.7 is 4. I was deep in the depths of depression. I will never forget the people who were there for that time. One of these people is someone I became friends with, and then we had a falling out because they were dealing with stuff. And I don't excuse poor behavior, but I do understand it. I like to get to the roots of things. So if I know you're being crappy or mean or nasty or whatever, rude, because you're having a bad day, I understand how that having a bad day would drive you to behave poorly. I do not excuse it though. I will be empathetic because I'm an empath, but eventually I will also protect myself. And nowadays it's not eventually. Have become the sort of person who, from especially late last year, but family mid this year, when I finally cut off a friend-ish like ship. I was their friend. I didn't count them as my friend. I didn't think of them as someone I could be my genuine vulnerable self with. But like on the 12th of January, I should think 12th or 13th, I just basically cut them off. And it was with an actual conversation because I tried the whole ghosting thing and I had been inconsistent. So, and I had made a decision late last year, actually mid last year, to come home. Then I got the job in August in Leipzig, and I was like, oh, let me stick around. Then they messed up with my payment end of August, hadn't given me a contract. I got pissed and I told them I'm going to Berlin because I needed to make up the amount they hadn't paid me. And Berlin was just Berlin is that crazy friend whose company you enjoy in small doses. I've literally said this to uh, a lover of mine, and he gets it because he's in tech. So he's come to, like, he's found himself in Berlin a lot for work, and he's like, you know what, I totally get it. And so he and I, we are not chatting as much right now, but like we've kept the friendship. because I feel like this has become more of a friendship than anything else. And that's one of the lessons I'm learning. I used to have a very black and white way of viewing things, and one of those things being men. And I'm starting to realize, like, the older you get, the easier it is to occupy the box of former lover, new business partner, or former business partner, new lover, or whatever. So since I'm not doing men this year stage of my life, um, I'm enjoying the company of men who I have given the foreknowledge that I'm not interested in anything sexual with them. I'm not dating men this year, and so there's that. So anyway, when I cut off this person, it's so, you know, the way you have a poisonous vine or poisonous anything around you. Um, when you remove the source of poison, um, you start getting your color back. You start to recover. I'm just assuming in a perfect world where your immunity is able to fight off a toxin, and I don't mean like the sort of toxin that would kill you. I mean, you know what I mean. That if you're around someone who drains you, wears you out, if you've understood the role of being the understanding girlfriend, or being the patient lover who listens to this person go on and on about their problems, and you're just taking it in and mothering them, then you're able to also appreciate when this person is removed from your life. Whatever you miss about them will never match the relief that you experience and the fullness of life that you experience when they're out of your life. Now, I'm not saying this because I think I am a complete hot sauce and I'm completely flawless and oh my god, everyone should be dying to be with me. No, not at all. I am not jollof rice. I will not make everyone happy. But I have realized consistently that I just have a problem with men. I don't know how to, beyond a certain point. I can be patient with them to a point, but I'm not as patient with them as I am with women. Um, and I keep expecting them to just look, do it, figure it out, quick, move. And when they don't, or if they don't, then my interest fizzles out like very quickly. So the first time, for instance, I give men like a few strikes. I give them like two. Women, I keep saying I give them three strikes, but you'd have to really, really cross a line with me for me to just decide, as if you're a woman, for me to decide I cannot put up with this behavior. One of my key one key statement I have made to people is that I don't know what to do with disrespect. I don't know what to do with it. I don't know which bag to put it in. Like, I know how to deal with people who are classist. I don't like them. Can't stand them. People who treat you better if they think you're of a certain caliber, or you can make them money, or you're good to appear with at a party. Because I have been that woman for some people where you're someone I can show up with to a thing and as an arm piece. Absolutely hate that. Or not for my looks, by the way, usually for my brain. Um, and it's made me realize, the things that piss you off and annoy you and hurt you deeply, they really help you realize the things about yourself that you need to be realizing and taking note of. And so, for instance, again, I'm back in Kenya, so naturally there are going to be those people who reach out, not because they're your close friends who've been with you through the thick and thin of everything, but because there's this assumption that you've come with money. And someone shamelessly called and asked me about my life. Like, oh, so are you with this person? So they were basically, from just the conversation, because they're not very good at even masking intentions. They're like, so did you act? Did you make money? Did you do this? Did you do that? This is a man, shameless man, and he's not my friend. So we were friendly before, but then he's married with kids. I'm not, I don't do married with kids people. Um, just even as close friends, I just don't. It's just too complicated. or it gets complicated quickly, especially when third party doesn't know that you existed before or knows you existed and knows how close you are to their person. And society just generally has this assumption that if you're the single friend, something must have happened or could have happened or will happen in the future, or you're the biggest threat. Fine, people are allowed to feel their feelings and think their thoughts, and I'm just, I have no energy to stick around for the show because I don't do drama. I don't like it. So, anyways, so this person asks questions, and I was really pissed off, and so I decided to answer all of them because that was his first strike, and he was like, "Oh, I'll be looking for you." Now, the one thing I despise more than a man who lies and lies poorly, I expect all men to lie, but a man who lies poorly is a man who is in your business and feels entitled to your time and whatever, and energy. So whether that energy is, your skills, or they treat you like their therapist, or they treat you like that friend they can offload to, or they treat you like a life coach who they're not, whose services they're not even procuring, like they're not paying you. They just feel like, this is a person I can talk to about ABCD. I personally think if a woman is going to choose to have a relationship with any kind of man, he'd better be there in the capacity of a problem solver. Because what else are men for if he's not like fixing something in your house that needs fixing, your curtain rods, the crack in your wall, the leak at your sink, etc. Oh, all things I can fix by myself, by the way. But you're there for the convenience. I don't like admin work. I'd rather you handled that, or you handled my admin nightmares or and stuff like that. Those are literally the only men I have in my circles right now. Men who are fixers. If you're not a fixer, but they don't even so much as look at me. I'm not even taking on male clients. This is how bad it is. Like there's feminism and then there's the radicalization that comes with it. I am a radicalized feminist and I am getting more and more radicalized with each passing day and writing my thesis. And I've even submitted the topic, well, not yet successfully, according to the email I got from the student center. Because I want to include 2 more countries. Because if you have 4 case studies, then your thesis is moving along well, right? It has been 12 minutes already. I'm just giving you a lowdown of what's happened so far. Africans, when you travel home from the abroad, be very careful who the first 3 people you tell are. The only people I informed about my coming this way were, I didn't even tell my kid. I surprised her, or I attempted to, but my host, who stays with my kid, mentioned it to her. And then, of course, they surprised me when my kid came to the passport, wow, airport. And that for me was a highlight. And then just coming here and seeing how she lives in a family that loves her, predominantly female. And like we are now like 3 generations of women. I absolutely love it. That's a truck, I think. So when I first came here, the windows don't seal shut like they do back in Germany. I struggled with overstimulation. Just kids playing outside, beautiful sounds, which I love, but too much. Because there was that. It was in the morning. Mornings, you know me. You all know me right now. Mornings are for sleeping, not for or for doing like important things before you take a nap. Like just there's that. I think I had braced myself thanks to my therapist, and I haven't even talked to her in a while, but I had braced myself for the change that I would come back. It's my therapist and my thesis supervisor, and not in that capacity. My thesis supervisor had taught a class, intercultural health communication, where she talked about traveling away from home and then experiencing life as an immigrant and then going back, and how you'll go back, she warned, and you'll not fit in. I have felt that keenly because, on the one hand, I am accustomed to the conveniences of Germany, and I've lived in different cities. And when I say conveniences, I mean just getting on the train, getting on the bus. If either of them is late, and I'm not going to lie here and tell you guys Deutsche Bahn doesn't delay properly. There are delays, But this is different from sitting in public transport in Nairobi, waiting for a van, matatu, bus to fill up. By the way, as I am complaining here, I have not been inside a matatu because I can't. Oh, by the way, it's not because I am swimming in money, by the way. It's just because my host is well traveled, so she gets it, and she's been driving me everywhere. Okay, the everywhere is at least 3 places from the airport home. Oh, we went to Sarit Center because we live kind of close to Sarit Center. And then to Loakabete, to another girlfriend's place. Someone I'd sort of talked to them about each other, like the way you tell your friend Dot about Stella, and then you tell Stella about Dot, and then you try to connect them. But life happens because both of them are busy, and then other things come in, and then you're like, look, you guys will definitely meet when I come. So they actually saw each other on the balcony. She was dropping me off. Dot had a guest, and Stella was like, say hi to her, tell her I'm coming properly. Like, I'll come up the steps, I'll come to her house, we'll have chai. Kenyan things, right? One of the things I had missed. So I went to Dot's place for a sleepover for a couple of days. And when I tell you, coexisting with women, let's start with when I got to this house from the airport. I just was gisting and stories and talking until morning. It was really 3:30 in the morning. So they picked me in good time, just, checked out. There was no nonsense with customs. It was really smooth sailing. I met 2 Kenyan women, so we were 3 Kenyan women. While was it in Cairo? No, before we got to Cairo. So I met the one in Berlin as we were boarding, and then we were like, hey, I'll see you around. Like, you're Kenyan, right? Right. I'll see you in Cairo. So by the time I get to Cairo, she's there, and then there's another Kenyan lady. So there's a woman who've been there for 6 years, 10 years, and then so me and my 2.5 years, and so they're traveling home, not the first time, and we talked about our shared experiences, and one of them had already talked about how she had gone through it with the ex, and she was like, yeah, me ex, we parted ways because of his sister. And I was like, oh my god. Like, if she and I could just have tea. Anyway, there's her. And then the other one, she's married to a German. She has a background in education, and so it was a plus for her to get into nursing, and now she's been given a new role in her department because of her background in nursing. And she said everything happens for a reason. It's one of the last things she said to me before we conked out. Well, she conked out. My sleep was still a mess. And I remember thinking, from even before I left Germany, the guy I was staying with, my friend Antonio, was like, oh, you'll be back. And I have my stuff in his basement. My aunt has also said, you'll be back. These strange women I've met, and when I say strange, I mean like they are people I do not know much of other than what they've told me about themselves, and I've met them for a few hours. These wonderful Kenyan women have just told me, oh yeah, everyone goes through that phase in the first 2 years where you absolutely hate this country, or you're absolutely frustrated and you go away and then you come back. So then my Berlin boss paid me, not the Berlin boss I'm usually referring to. He and I we are no longer in communication. Just one of those situations I just needed to end. So my new Berlin boss is also a Kenyan, decent guy, and paid me for like the last few weeks of work. So this is the first job I've had. It's a cash paying job for a cleaning gig. I've been to 2 sites, and there was something very special about being in Berlin. So one of the things I wanted to check off my list was living in Berlin, which I did, and working in Berlin, which I did. Now, it wasn't that office job that you would think I wanted. I honestly do not like office jobs, but it was very empowering to actually go to work for the days that I went to work. Did they amount to 4 weeks? I doubt. I think more like 3. So my visa was about to expire, and I made half-assed efforts to extend my visa. Like, I could have walked into the immigration office and told them, hey, this is the thing. I did not have the capacity, which everyone with depression and ADHD can get. And anyone who's desperately wanted an opportunity to leave the country cannot understand, because this one Nigerian co-worker looked at me and was like, how are you just agreeing to go back? I told him, look, I'm looking to get into academia. I'm guessing you came to Germany to make money and nothing less, right? I told him, I'm one of those people who's good at school. I'm above average in school. The ADHD brings up the above average bit, because tell me why I'm resitting an exam that I'm supposed to do sometime in May. Thankfully, not July. So, oh yeah, I flunked a paper. I failed a paper. It turned out to be a blessing in disguise, because then I have this extension of my student visa. It's not an extension on my student visa, correction. My student visa expired. And so I came here because it was going to expire. And I felt like there's no reason for me to go back to Germany right now, or to be in Germany. So I've registered for the summer semester. I'm going to finish school. I'm going to work on my thesis with a realistic timeline, because that thing I was trying, where I was pressuring myself to write an 80-page thesis in a month, that was not just ridiculous, it was cruel. And I called myself to a meeting and I was like, Sharon, you're not going to do this to yourself again. You're not going to do it in the corporate world. You're not going to do it in your personal life. You're not going to do it with your friends. You're not going to squeeze yourself into a box you cannot fit into, even if you're just trying to see whether you could fit into a box of that size. Like, that's just not a thing we do anymore. Okay, we're good, we're clear, cool, done. When you've been in a relationship, any kind, with your parents, especially if it starts off with your parents, where you feel like you can't be your authentic self, where you're punished for having big feelings as a child, or where you're dismissed, or where your reality is denied, it makes it very easy for you to be the sort of person who settles for breadcrumbs in friendships and in romantic relationships. It becomes very easy for you to be the sort of person who tries very hard to win over the love and affection of others, because this world is lonely. So you try to win over love and affection by doing certain things to make people want you or like you. And it's very easy to get stuck in that cycle. Let me tell you what therapy does for you. It helps you see yourself as worthy of love. It sees you as, it teaches you to see yourself as worthy of existence just cause. Religion will tell you because you're the child of God and you were created in his image and everyone is special, right? Which is why having a religious affiliation protects your mental health. Like, statistically, if you're affiliated to any religious group, I don't know if it's any, I'm guessing it's any, but if you believe in a higher power, then there's a protective mechanism, there's a protective factor around your mental health when you believe in a power bigger than you. Yeah. Supreme being, or the universe, or God, or, yeah. And there has been something about the conversations I've had, especially with my friend Wavoa, about just hanging in there, like chin up, hang in there, and learning to set boundaries and learning to fend for yourself and defend yourself and stand up for yourself and advocate for yourself. I recently had a tiff with someone I blocked, unblocked, and I decided to give them a piece of my mind, because they had treated me, in my opinion, cruelly, and they've held on to my money. Like only a man would, because you see, with my female friends, when we've parted ways and anyone owed anyone money, the money was paid. I say this to mean my current female friends, because there are people in my life who've played that game and I have decided I am not proceeding with them. And here is why. Repentance, when you repent of something, just by definition, biblical definition, you show your remorse, not with just words, but with action. So, for instance, if I know a big part of where my trust issues with person X started, if I know that a big part of these issues started with them screwing me over, cash wise, or rather with me screwing them over cash wise. Like I'd said I'd pay for something and then I didn't. Before I, as Sharon or Google, have the audacity to get back into the life of this person, one of the things I will seek to do is to send them the money I owe them and then send them a follow-up message, because the onus is not on them. This is adulting 101, by the way, especially for those who are out there screwing up relationships with money. Then I'd follow up with a message saying, hey, I am truly sorry for the way in which I behaved regarding this money. I know the amount I have sent you can never cover for what I did. I am hoping you forgive me, but even if you don't, I will understand. Someone recently sent me a message like that while I was in Germany. They didn't even know I was coming back because it's not something I had like really announced loudly. They're not on my social media platforms. They were going through a thing. And I understood because I have gone through a thing with them where I behaved in a similar fashion, like the whole cutting people off type thing. I'm learning to do better with my friends, with people who are complete idiots who are not deserving of my courtesy. I don't bother anymore. I literally have just enough energy for just enough people. And so when this individual reached out to me, someone I love dearly, I felt so moved by the gesture where they were like, totally understand if you don't want to speak with me, like you have every right. I quickly, you know, the way the Bible says, when you remember there's someone you've offended, you put your offering down, you rush to make peace with your brother, then you come and finish making your offering. That's been a very real experience for me this past few months. And it's been very cathartic because when I tell you guys, women are my lifeline. I come from a messy family. I come from a very messy family. And I didn't even realize how messy until I started talking to not one, but two therapists over the past few years. From 2020, took a break somewhere there in 2021 to spin and unravel. And the people who benefited the most from my spinning and unraveling were men, religious men. It is why I have a deep-seated dislike and distrust towards religious men, because very many of them use the element of forgiveness and grace to take advantage of not just anyone, but women in particular. So, yeah, I realize that one has landed hard on me. And you know, the funny thing is, when you lose friendships, even with these men, you miss the bit that you had with them that was the friendship. The person you could talk to when you were going through stuff. And actually, the men I've had in my life who I could be legit, honest, genuine with, my darkest, ugly self with, have probably been two. My best friend Anthony Chenjo and my friend Nick. And it's tough when you lose friendships like that. Because the only other friendship with the two guys, I've grieved the rift, because Tony is now my family man, and out of respect, I've created a healthy distance between us. He was literally my best friend throughout my high school years, and he was my very close friend from 7th grade. So age 13 to 37 is a lot of years. He's the oldest friend I have. But I also have to respect that his responsibility is towards his family first. That's that. With my friend Nick, it's just one of those rifts that has occurred because, again, as a radicalized feminist and just as a feminist, there are things that very many religious men find unpalatable about me. And since we know each other from the church context, and he's less liberal and he's more conservative, is a more conservative Christian now than we were in our heydays, and I am more liberal, there's a clash there. And so I sometimes, very often, don't give people a chance to try and choose or figure out. I'm one of those, ninatoka kabla nifukuzwe. I leave before I am sent away. which can tell you about my attachment styles. I am proper avoidant. I literally like men less after I've been intimate with them. But I digress. Landing in Kenya has been bittersweet, but mostly sweet. I had really missed the weather. I had missed food that tastes like food. This is an insult to Germans everywhere. I don't care. Your food tastes like something weird. Like, I don't know what it is. Just, your veggies have no personality. And, like I haven't eaten meat here because meat here has a smell and a taste. And it's not an off-putting one. It's like it has legit flavor. Because your meat tastes like plastic, then I can eat it. But now I'm home. I don't need to eat meat. I'm enjoying being home. I'm enjoying the warmth of not just the weather, but the people. The people here actually talk to you and look at you and engage you. Gone to the market today. I've eaten some really good food prepared by the auntie of a friend and the second mother of a friend, and they just opened their doors. And I got a phone call today from one of these aunties who's like, Sharon, you need to talk to this friend of mine. He can help you with ABCD that you needed help with urgently. Please talk to him. We are here to help each other. And I felt that mother-shaped hole in my heart closing up because it's the women in my life looking out for me. And I am so ridiculously grateful for it. I had a client conversation today and it started with gist and stories. Then it wound up with the consultation. And my client paid me. And just there was no tug of war. There was no, hey, so when should I expect my payment? Which is a question I usually... This is a thing I go through with men fairly consistently. Not all men, but so far it's been Kenyan men. My dealings with West African men have not always been as simple and straightforward, but at least I know for a fact when it came to money, a Ghanaian and a Yoruba man, any day. Any damn day. Because Ghanaian men have just... Fine, I had a Ghanaian housemate in Leipzig. Man-child. But even then, it's because we had beef. Before the beef, just chill. Just chill guy. Chill guy. Before beef, chill guy. And after beef, I even left my kettle. I was like, you enjoy the kettle because when it was good, it was good. But first of all, black man any day. And then secondly, actually, no, correction. I have met an incredibly lovely German man in Leipzig. And he just makes me happy. He's just out here giving me space to finish with my thesis. He's just like, it would have been nice for you to be here during the summer. And I'm like, you want to make it happen? He's like, finish your thesis. Yeah, finish your thesis. And I'm just sat here thinking, like I had a script about life before, and now I have thrown out the damn paper because I'm thinking, it really didn't need to be this hard all the time. There's a very interesting confidence that comes with being home, and I am aware I know how to make money. I have told my friend, so my BFF Jules and be a business partner, who also has a business partner, Catherine, and she's like, oh, we're having this, we're going to have you over. What is that exposure? My friend and now business partner, Wavua, we've also had a conversation where It's a small grant that she got, and we are using it for our podcast. And she knows about the other grant I've applied for, because when I get it, whether it's this one or another one, I am going to make sure she gets a payday out of that. Somehow I'm going to consult her for something, because she's one of those people who, if I had $1,000 today, I would give it to Avoid to do my publicity. And we had a call today. We're having a meeting on Sunday. I have another hangout with I have plans to go out dancing with Stella and with Dot. I have plans to go out to meet up with Olive. I have plans to meet up with Anne early next week. I have plans to meet Wavua on Sunday. I have plans to meet Jules in the course of the week, because we had to re-strategize after my payment came in and it was less than what I'd anticipated, because I was getting paid less per hour and then there were fewer hours, which infuriated me. But I told my boss, now I know. And he knows I'm pissed. But you know what? If I find myself back in Berlin, he's definitely someone I'd work for, knowing these are the terms. And I will actually tell him, if these are the terms, do not dare change them, because you know I'm a good employee and I will not be back a second time. Again, men, 2 strikes. And he knows I'm bi. And that I have no patience for men. And like half the reason why I am now interested in women is because like I just can't stomach men anymore. So it's been bitter, in the sense that it's getting out of your shell again. It's asking for help. It's accepting help or receiving the help that is offered to you. And I suck at receiving love. It's setting boundaries with your time and your money, because you're literally letting people know, hey, I came here with a limited budget and I don't have an exact timeline for when I'm going back to Germany. And that timeline is determined by when I finish my thesis, because then and only then can I apply to go as a skilled laborer, because now I don't have the work search visa thing that people tend to get when they apply for it in Germany after they're done with the student thing. But this one thing I know, I'm in a country where, and surrounded by people where I'm not going to get kicked out. I'm not going to get kicked out because I know how to survive in Kenya. Secondly, my host and friend told me, focus on your skills. You're brilliant. And she took me to a boardroom. You know, choose friends who will take you into a boardroom with them when they're invited into one. So she had a meeting, call them chamas. It's a chama meeting, so it's a merry-go-round, but it's one of those nice posh ones where we were actually visiting someone's mom who's sick or has been sick and is undergoing treatment. And so we went and started talking. Somehow the conversation about health and nutrition came up, of course, because I have peculiar eating habits. And then I just was in my element. And you guys, when I tell you, oh, so help me God, I'm getting into academia, it's because I know I am a brilliant human being and I have so much light to share, and I want to share it with the world. I've already shared it with my daughter today. Well, we were sat here and she has outfits that she either doesn't wear anymore, she feels would look good on me, and we have like the same physique, sort of, very athletic build at least. And so she's like, this dress, and it's the dress she gave me to try yesterday. It was so beautiful. And then I told her, can I borrow this? So she's like, yeah, for sure. This one is pretty and I think you look good in it. And so we are literally exchanging clothes. And that's the thing I used to do with my mom. And between that and her doing her attachment/internship and enjoying it and learning and growing, and she says, I want to go in on Sundays as well because they have these extra classes and I want to extra sessions, and there are these technical people who are present, and she's able to tell me some of the crazy stuff that happens and which man is physically inappropriate with which lady and how she set her boundaries. And when a guy says, hey, get up and give me a hug, she's like, either take a handshake or you walk. And I see so much of my fire in her. And we're in the same house. And I feel so good. And my host and friend and I are making plans for our kids, because she has a son and I have my daughter, and we have these kids to raise together, and we've decided we're doing life together. And I don't know. I'm surrounded by so much great female energy. I'm just overwhelmed with gratitude today because yesterday was rough. I was triggered. I was triggered and I broke down and cried in my friend's car, and we were driving into town from elsewhere, and I just reached for my tissues and I cried a little, and I still have a little or a lot of cry left in me. I was triggered by just the realization that there are people who will intentionally hurt you just because they know they can, and for them they feel that it adds to them to hurt you, and it has to do with men who are hurting the women in their lives with whom they've had kids. And it breaks my heart when that happens, because I see in these women my mother, who is a single mom, and I also see myself in the children who are hurt either through neglect or financial, emotional, or otherwise, or who are hurt by the things that these men say about their mothers or how they behave towards their mothers. Kids are very intuitive. And I just broke down and cried because I'd encountered just 3 women going through it in a very close span of time. And it just broke my heart. And it broke my heart because it also broke my inner child's heart, because I was like, could this have been some of what my mother went through and why parenting was so difficult for her? And the triggers come from nowhere. I've been trying not to think about my mom. And the thing I dislike the most about this is how people ask about whether I have spoken with her. I don't like being asked that question, because I'm like, no, nothing has changed. And I've let go of the hope that I'll ever make her happy. But I do have her in my plans. And I was telling that to the oldest generation in this house. She's like our mom. Really, she is our mom here. And she shared some of her own stuff about her kids and how she's experienced what I'm experiencing with my mom, with her kid. And I was like, you know what? We do the best we can with what we have. And that's the bitter part of the bittersweet. But it has mostly been good. I wouldn't have it any other way. I am so glad I came when I came. I'm so glad I didn't seek that visa extension, because I probably would have convinced myself to work a little harder. The days are getting warmer. It's okay, hang in there. But guys, if there's anything I'm learning about approaching 37, I am done. I'm done pushing too hard. If something is mine, I work towards it. And if it doesn't come, it's not mine. And if it comes, it's mine. And I will take it with the audacity of a mediocre white man. I mean, Donald Trump ran for presidency and won, or was rigged in. So who am I not to go after the things that I know I deserve? Not that life owes me anything, but because I know what I bring to the table, for instance, as a health coach, for instance, as a parent, for instance, as a guardian. And so one of the affirmations, and I'm going to finish with that I wrote for myself, and it's a practice that I'm engaging in while I'm coaching clients, because I'm teaching them stuff that I have learned to be very valuable in my life. Why? Because my health coaching practice is applying a lot of what I have found to be useful. One of the affirmations I wrote down is somewhere on a notebook. The notebook is far. I do not feel like reaching for it there. But I remember celebrating my strength. I said something to the tune of, I am a strong person for having survived my family and my lover and his family, and then my lover after that, and his family situation, let's say, and his family as well. And I am also a very strong person for having survived Germany for 24 plus 5 so 29, almost 30 months. That's like it's almost 2.5 years. I am also very brave for having chosen to take the risk to come back home, especially with all the voices of all the people outside me going like, oh my gosh, do you really want to come back? It's going to be hard to leave again. And I'm like, who said anything about leaving? I mean, on the one hand, yeah, realistically speaking, I do feel like a misfit here, but I also feel like I belong here more than anywhere else. So the plan is to go away for some time, a year or two, and then, but with breaks in between, definitely coming home at least every year, hopefully twice a year, to, as Ada said, touch grass. Ada is a beautiful doctor I met in Leipzig. She's one of the most beautiful Black women I have met, like inside and out. She's an incredible human being. We don't talk much, but you can just tell when someone has this aura. So I do intend to leave again. Where to is not entirely certain. I do want to try for different places, but I'm also open to the idea that if God, the universe, and my efforts here keep me in Kenya, more than happy and more than willing to stay home. And if I find myself needing a change of scenery, because my God, this government, and I am very open to, and this is one of the benefits of leaving home and living elsewhere that was incredibly uncomfortable to live in. It's easier to move again. So like right now, if I get a job offer in Rwanda, why not? If I get a job offer because at least for starters, it's Black people. I can't start with Black people. If I get a job offer in Canada, of course, it's more English spoken there than in Germany. If I get a chance to go to the US, yes, with some hesitation, but yes. If I get a chance to go to Uganda or Tanzania, because I do have a close associate in Germany, but who hails from Tanzania, someone I definitely want to do business with, and we've had that conversation in the past, then for sure, I am very open to going to Arusha. If anything, my campus BFF Koki is in Arusha, Tanzania, so why not? Another very, very dear friend of mine with whom I had a falling out also, yes, and I have established that maybe I am the problem, is reached out to me and she's relocated to Canada. And I'm hoping that we get a chance to touch base soon, because this is one of those women I want to keep in my life. Because, I mean, it was one of those, hey, I don't know how we fell out, but like for whatever part I played, and I totally get it, because I was like, check, I was also going through it. And I don't even want to get to the root of the thing anymore, because I think whatever lessons were learned, because I did tell her what I had a problem with before I checked out. But when she said, you were my person, I felt it in my soul, because she is my person. Like, from our close clique of 4 friends, I was the closest with one for a very long time. And then there was another and another. Those two, after my closest, those two are the ones I have kept all these years. And I love that I'm in a season of reconciliation. Even as I say it, I'm like not expecting it to happen with my mother, but I love that I'm in a season of reconciliation with my chosen family. If you come from a crap family, and I know I had said I would finish with the other thing, but it's been a while, so you guys will bear with me. If you come from a trash family, and I've been caught in this loop of trying to get a family of my own, look out for friends. Pray for them. Like, literally pray and ask God, the universe, and whatever else you hold superior and supreme, to send you friends, especially if you're a woman, but also if you're a man, I guess, because the thing you're lacking in family, you will definitely get in friends. You will look. women have held me down. And I think one of the reasons why my being in Kenya right now is such an empowering experience and why I have gone back to the old Sharon. Someone actually said that to me. She said, Sharon, I love this for you. I love that you're in Kenya. You sound like Sharon. It's because this is just where I thrive. This is where my tribe is. This is where the women who get that I need to get out of bed after 12 noon get it. Some of them have been through depressive episodes, so they can relate, but the others who haven't been are very empathetic. Ladies, get yourself some female friends. And I know I hear people say it's hard to make friends in your 30s. Me, I don't know where you get that story, because I literally just introduced someone to someone else, and I'm willing to bet they have their own relationship going now. And by saying this, I'm sort of bringing them into the conversation. Try and decentralize men and children a little bit. Just a bit. Decentralize men, because men will shamelessly go for the thing they want. And that's the thing I'm learning, especially from my last lover. I was like, if there's anything I learned from this man, is how he just is very audacious, like other men before him, about going after the thing he wants. He'll shoot his shot. And I am learning how to shoot my shot. And I've told myself, I set an interesting target for myself today. Out of nowhere, I was like, this is how much I am going to start making for the next few months that I'm here. And this is the amount of money I'm going to have in my account before I leave this country. And I am leaving this country by this date. I literally just said it out loud to myself. And I felt this fire in my bones. I was like, this is the thing. This is the thing you've been needing to do and meaning to do. It also helped that I was handing over my lover to someone today. Funny story. But I discovered not my lover, my ex-lover, that he's seeing someone new, and it coincided with a time when he reached out and I was not willing to reconnect and rekindle that. And so one, I'm grateful to any force that prevented me from going back, because it would have hurt. I would have felt some type of way to discover that there was someone else in the picture that he was keeping from me, because it's kind of open, but I know who we have in our circle. And then secondly, I like that I was able to give her a heads up on what to look out for. I was like, hey, you already know he's a good time guy. Have a really good time, but keep your heart tightly tucked in your chest. And so I might be meeting her for coffee. It's the second shaft buddy I have. The second chick I know in my close circle, and my close circle includes the close circle of my close circle, with whom we've shared a lover. We've had the same lover. Let's not say shared, because that sounds like a thing that is not the thing I'm trying to communicate. And there was something very, very empowering about that conversation, because I remember him saying that if you want, he was telling me this about my ex, if you want him to like pull away from you because he will realize that he's lost a good thing, you have to find a way to sort of lead him to the water, like where he'll meet other women or another woman. And yeah, so my ex did meet someone else. I was informed, and I know he knows I know, because whoever he told, he must have told with the intention of me knowing. And I was like, good. I'm glad he's putting himself out there. And I like legit, genuinely, like for my ex partner, I genuinely care for this man and I want him to be happy. And as I said, we were just not a good fit for each other anymore. For my ex lover, I've realized, in spite of the animosity, because ilisha vibaya, like it ended worse than it should have. But I still, because we started off as friends, And then I hadn't foreseen that anything would actually happen. It did happen because I just got out of a relationship. The part of me that was friends with him, because that friendship kept popping up because we worked together for a bit. I legit want him to find someone who fits his, I'll loosely put it as checklist, because I also recognized from especially the second half of last year, that I was just like, okay, so these are the issues that are going to be popping up and we are not going to work. I can usually tell in like a few days whether or not a guy and I would work out well. So by the time we got to a few weeks, I was like, tried pulling away, came back, because what was good was good. Trying to keep this PG-13. But the long and short is, there's a part of me that I'm realizing I didn't even know I had the capacity for, like, but I no longer feel the need to get under someone to get over someone, one. And two, first of all, I have never believed that anyone belongs to anyone. I've never believed it. I'm one of those women who, because we're the sum total of our 5 closest friends, if my ex winds up being a really good fit for someone in my circles, and I know the women in my circles are dope people, I'd rather they make it work. Now, there are people who are going to be like, oh my gosh, but like being a girl's. I'm like, look, why waste a good resource? And from what I said from the beginning, women, why do we have men in our lives who are not fixing something for us? Because then what are they there for? Yeah, well, like really, it can't be warm, fuzzy feelings. You can get that from a fur baby. Just get a pet. And your girlfriends can also give you a warm, fuzzy feeling, and it doesn't have to be sexual. If you're looking for something sexual, get a toy. But like, if you're into women, that's totally different, and I completely envy you if you like only into women. But I feel like I'm also going to get over my desire for ever having anything with a guy, because I know myself, once I take enough time, I've already passed the first threshold. It's usually a certain number of months. Once I've passed that threshold, it's now just harder for me to go back, because I'm like, why waste all that discipline and effort? Because it's usually the toughest that first quarter. Then after that, it gets easier and easier with time. And then you start looking at opportunity cost. And I remember there's a friend of mine who's been celibate for years, and she's like, yeah, for sure. Like, do I get fire in my loins? Yeah, but I think I've been celibate so long, I don't know another way. And I recall how problematic heterosexual relationships were. Now, she's not gay, she's not attracted to women, so she's just chosen the abstinence route, and I love it for her. And she's been powering me on. And I love that I have women in my circles who are also choosing, for whatever reasons, whether it's the 4B movement or for their own sanity, and we're doing it as a crew. And while we still make plans for starting an Only Women's Village. This has gone on for 58 solid minutes. Wow, I had a lot to say. I'd really legit missed talking to you guys. I didn't even know where to start from, so I've given you the whole mishmash of everything I wanted to say. So this is wellness check number, I don't know what. I still have a crush on Dr. Mike, tell him. I saw off doctors, but you know what? I'm open-minded, because I know it's either going to be a doctor or someone in tech. I just know. Yeah. Or someone in academia, because I'm still hot for men who are smart and women. Yeah, so this is just much ado about there being nothing left to say. The meeting ended at 59:33, 4, 5. But you guys stay well. I will keep you posted on more happenings about my stay here, and and I will keep up with the hasty generalizations. Yeah. For now, please tolerate me, but stay well. Good night. Have a great weekend.